All right, hello everyone. It is June 1st, 2025. Just gonna jump right into it. Got a lot of names to go over, so not too much market evaluation. Things are still volatile, but got a lot of names, so things are looking up. See if these can break out and hold. First up, AVAL. This is a $3 stock. Textbook cheat here. Using Wednesday's low as your stop, it gives you about 5.25%. So this is pretty tight here. It is a bank, so do with that as you will. But the setup, large base, the volume dry up, everything looks great. BSX. This is another large base going back to end of January. Just looking for this to get a little bit tighter up here. I mean, if you go to the breakout area down to here, it's only 3.5%. But it's not clean. I like to see the price reach that line of resistance and kind of bump into it a few times and then go. But if this just goes to, it's buyable into those new highs. CGNT application software. This one actually broke out back here on May 19th. Now just building another pivot. You get that quick shot up, and you got this left side resistance from this overhead supply. So those trapped buyers back here, they're finally getting out at break even. People who bought down here, they're taking profits, so it's natural for this to stall, and it's building another pivot here. So you got about 3%. If you take the whole pivot low, it's about 5.5. So that's pretty tight. CrowdStrike, cybersecurity. This one broke out on the 23rd. Now just going through a natural reaction, pausing for a little bit. And if you didn't buy it, you can start a new position into new highs, or if you did buy it, you can add to your position there. CYBR, another cybersecurity. This one has some overhead supply back in February. Big base. I was looking at this back here, just kind of got a little volatile. Didn't really work out, and now it's just setting up another pivot here. So you're looking at about under 4% pivot here, so that looks really good. DoorDash, I don't love this one. I mean, the base is fine, the cup and handle, you know the inverse head and shoulders here. What I don't like is how it's just kind of wedging up here. I think this might need another contraction, but depending on how the market goes and the news, if Trump tweets something crazy, this can fly or tank. But I don't like this. I'd like to see maybe another shakeout like this. Give another shakeout another couple days and then go. But otherwise, I mean, if this just goes tomorrow, I might try it for a day trade or something, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. DC, this is a gold stock, decent base. You got some overhead supply here. I don't know why I didn't draw a line, but it's way back here, back in February, and now I'm just looking at this as a pullback buy here. Gold seems to be setting up. I saw quite a few gold stocks, but I'm gonna put this on my list because it's super cheap, $3, and it's not super thin either. It's thin, 500,000 shares, but it's not 20K shares thin. So just looking at this as a pullback buy. See if I can get a nice rip into here and then sell into this as it stalls out at the left side peak. ESQ, another big base here. This is a regional bank, so I'm not super psyched about this, but it does have a nice pivot down to this shakeout low is about 5.5%. So this is pretty tight. It's a big base. The volume's getting a little weird in here, so do with that as you will. But Hood, Robinhood, it's a nice big base. I feel like it might need another contraction. I don't love, it feels a little bit time compressed here. This ran up really quick. It didn't really stair step its way up with a low cheat and a cheat and now a handle. It just kind of ripped. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I do like the volume dry up. It is a tight pivot here. You're at about 7%. So it is buyable, and I think it could be a good buy there. JBL, another big base going back to January. Nice handle here. Shakeout low is about 5.5%. You could certainly use Friday's low if this just breaks out tomorrow. This one looks really good. KTOS, aerospace and defense. So this one broke out of its base here. Now just pulling back to the top of the base. So I'm looking at this as a pullback buy. So over Friday's high, 37.20 is your entry, and then your stop is 35.85, just below it. LOPE. This was another one, broke out, kind of like a high handle. Never really gave you a spot to get on here. I mean, you could have bought on this day. That's, that is a pivot, but it's, it was kind of wedging. I didn't love it. I didn't take that. But, right now you're sitting at just the whole entire pivot low is under 4%. So this is super tight. MPAA, this is automotive parts. Decent base, not your typical cup and handle, but 10% down here. So this does, you are going to have to use, a tighter stop down here, probably around 5-6%. So maybe it goes inside for a couple days and then goes. Not my favorite, but it's buyable. NUTX, this is not your standard, kind of play here, but it did run up 300% here. At first it ran up 240% and then pulled back 34, which that is kind of excessive. But it broke out again. Now it's forming this, this VCP here, and the current stop use Friday's low is about 7%. So this does have a lot of power behind it. I'm looking at this as more of a stretch of a high tight flag, just because in here it got a little bit messy, but I think this is still viable. OCFT, this is application software, pretty thin, 66,000 shares, but you get your basic VCP here. Tight pivot under 4%. You go whole pivot low, be about 5.5%. Application software, that's a good group. Same with PLTR. So now this one did break out on Friday. It ran up here, and like I said, going back to this left side peak, this might stall out again. This might go sideways for a couple days and then go. So if you didn't buy it here, maybe it gives you another entry here, or you can add to your position. But this one might just blast off. This might give you the only time to get on. So keep it on the watch list just in case. QBTS. This is more of like a meme stock. I want to zoom out here because going back to 2024, this ran up over 1,100%. Then it came back in, then it ran up again 173%. So it's not your typical, low volatility swing trade VCP, but it does have a lot of crazy power. It's a meme stock, quantum computing. That's what all the degenerates are trading. So I look at this as like a GameStop. From not too long ago, it ran up 200%, and now it pulled back about 22%. So I'm looking at this as a pullback buy right over Friday's high, using Friday's low as your stop. That'll give you about 6.5%. I think it's worth the risk. It did break out of this pretty big base here, now just going through a natural reaction. So if this is going to go viral again, if that's what you call it for a meme stock, this is the place to get on. RPID, another cheap stock, $3. It did break out here on the 27th. Now just going through a natural reaction. So looking at this as a pullback buy here. Super tight risk. So over Friday's high, under Friday's low is about 4%. So use that range. SGI, home furnishings, decent base here, pretty big. Down to this pivot low is about 5, almost 6%. So that's pretty tight. SKE, this is another gold stock. Kind of a funky base, not really, what you typically see, but you do see your VCP contractions here. You got about 8.5% down here. So if it just goes, inside for a day or two, I'd probably use Friday's low as a stop for 4.25%. SMA, recent IPO. This is on the list last week. Just kind of still hanging out here, but it's still intact. Hasn't gone anywhere. Down to this pivot low is about 5.5%. So that's still viable. Spotify, this one looks great. I mean, just you're looking at 6-7% stop down here. Maybe go super tight for the next couple days, or you use a low a day stop. But big base, great fundamentals, has everything, checks all the boxes. TLN, I like this chart. I don't like that it's a energy stock, um, but it's 7% down to here. Using Thursday's low, you're about 4%. So, you can count that as one contraction, two contraction. Then you got this obviously big contraction. So you got the VCP, you got the volume dry up, you got the big base, you got the clear pivot. It's just an energy stock. So TOI, this is a healthcare facility. This ran up pretty quick, 477% in just a few weeks. It did pull back a little excessively, 38%, but I mean, you gotta give it the benefit of the doubt. It ran up 400%, so going an extra 10%, it's not that big. And it's you're seeing your VCP, you're seeing the volume dry up. It is a little bit wider because it's only $3, but if you can use Friday's low, 8%, maybe use a low a day stop, maybe it does something like this, just goes like that, and then there, and then you just use that low a day stop to get tight on it. But this one looks pretty powerful. It looks like it can move. I didn't look too much into this yet. I didn't do a deep dive on the fundamentals, but healthcare facilities, that can surely be profitable. TOST, this is a transaction payment. Big base here. I think we gotta zoom out a little bit. So it just kind of ran up here on this side. I'm assuming this was earnings. I don't know, but that's a tough one to hold into earnings if that's what it was. But other than that, it never really gave you a spot to get on. So now it's just pulling back, to the 20. Found support on the 20. Good close. Maybe that's a shakeout. So looking at this as like a pullback buy type of cheat, a cheat within the pullback buy. The vernacular doesn't really matter, but you kind of get what I'm saying. So maybe over this range here, I think would be okay. UNFI food distributor, decent base here, cup and handle. Got about 8.25% down to here, so maybe it gets a little bit tighter, gives you a better stop. Go back into 6 months. UNM, this is a life and health insurance, so not super sexy, but decent base, 4.5% ish stop in here on this pivot. This looks pretty gnarly down here, but that was only a 21% drop from peak to trough, so this is still pretty tight once you measure it. WMB, this is a oil and gas transportation, so we got to zoom out again. It's pretty big base here. Don't love the oil and gas, but we'll trade it. But if you use Friday's low, you're at 2.25%. So I mean, you can give the stop way down here and only be at 7.5. So this is really, really tight, big base, and yeah. And then finally, Walmart, decent base here, nice shakeout. I love this shakeout here. So then I would put my stop down at this little mini shakeout, about 4, almost 5% down to here. And this is just a big liquid name you can really load up on. That's all I got. That's more than enough names for the week, and we'll see how it goes.